Board of Education to order. Mr. Dufresne?
Mrs. Bissinger.
Here.
Mr. Fruman.
Here.
Mrs. Hubner.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Dr. Heiss.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everyone for coming. Quick safety briefing. The exits are behind you. These windows do not open. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dufresne?
Mrs. Bissinger.
Yes.
Mr. Fruman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And Dr. Heiss.
Yes. I will now hand the reins over to Mr. Prebles.
We have some special guests with us again this evening. We're happy to once again include students into the board meeting, and we're going to open up with them this evening. I'd like to introduce Mr. James Ledbetter from Anderson High School. James is the quartet director, and he's going to introduce our special guests this evening.
Special guest we have from Anderson High School is our string quartet, Allison Siekman, Emily Lewis, Claire Siekman, Jenny Gaffney. And tonight they're going to open up our meeting with some Mozart, A Little Night music.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming. That was wonderful.
Dr. Heiss, I have another item I'd like to bring to the board's attention. You'll notice the new tables from the Media Center are back. And this is interesting because this has to do with STEM in our classrooms, as well as Project Lead the Way, and specifically our Fusion program here at the middle school. This piece of equipment right here was designed by our middle school students, and the purpose of this device is to attach to these tables that have an awkward design so that the front skirt could be attached to these tables. And so in our own middle school media center, as part of the Fusion program, on the printers that we have in the back, these were developed specifically for these meetings. And you heard the performances this evening, beautiful instrumentation. Certainly those students have put a lot of time and effort into that, and we thank them for presenting to us this evening. But these are the types of things that are new and innovative as well that are happening in our schools, and I think it's important to let the public know and others know that the resources that they provide to us and the things that we so graciously receive from our community are playing out in the programs that we have. And so I just wanted to share this with everybody this evening. Thought that was pretty cool, that we now have our tables back, and thanks to middle school students and the designing and engineering in their classes, they were able to produce these. So.
So, next up is, executive session.
All right. I move that we go into executive session to, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code. 121.22G3, to meet with board legal counsel to discuss disputes involving the board and/or the school district that are the subject of pending or imminent court action, and also to, under 121.22G1, to consider personnel matters, which could include the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee or official. Second.
Number 3.
This one or this one?
Sure, you said this one.
Okay.
She did that one. She started with that
Got
one.
it.
Yep. Mr. Dufresne?
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Huebner?
Yes.
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. So we're going to go away. I promise to make this as quick as possible. So, and we'll be right back. You ready? You all ready? Come back into session. Item 4.2, resolution approving takeover agreement.
Do we have it at our places?
I don't think we brought one in. No, we do not. He had it out.
The takeover agreement is not an attachment, I don't think, to our agenda. Is that true, Susan?
It is,
It is?
yeah,
Attachment.
it's in here.
It's
You know what, I
4-2.
think
Oh,
I
it's-
printed my agenda and the attachments before you redid the agenda, so I believe you. Okay, so I move that we approve the, I'm sorry?
Resolution.
Yes, approve the resolution as shown in the attachment concerning the takeover agreement.
Second.
Thank you.
So just as a quick overview, as most people know, we've had our issues over at Anderson, and we had fired our construction company. The surety, Travelers Bonding Agency, has agreed to take over the project and bring in new management of the project. So that's what this takeover agreement is regarding.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Huebner?
Yes.
Mr. Fruman?
Abstain.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. Now, item 5.1, approval of, or items 5.1 through 5.5, but approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 2nd, 2017, the minutes of the Business Advisory Committee of November 9th, 2017, the minutes of the special meeting of November 10th, 2017, the minutes of the Policy Committee meeting of November 27th, 2017, and the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of November 27th, 2017.
Second.
Mr. Giuffre?
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Huebner?
Yes, but it was Mrs. Bissinger who seconded.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
I
Mrs.
haven't figured out our
Bissinger?
voices yet. Sorry.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Dr. Heiss?
Yes. Next up, correspondence. Superintendent?
Yes, I have two this evening. This letter comes to us from Rashida Savage with the College Board. Excuse me. It says, Superintendent Prebles, on behalf of the College Board, I am pleased to share the news that Forest Hills Local School District is one of 433 districts across the United States and Canada that have been selected for the 7th Annual AP Honor Roll. Districts on the AP Honor Roll have simultaneously increased access to advanced placement coursework while maintaining or increasing the percentage of students earning scores of 3 or higher on AP exams. Honor Roll districts defy the expectation, and the expanding access automatically results in a decline in the percentage of exams earning scores of 3 or better. Congratulations to you, your staff, and your students for this achievement. So that's exciting news for us because this is another year that we've been able to do that while expanding opportunities for students. So that's great news for our students, as mentioned in there, our families, parents, and our teaching staff. Thank you all. The second one I have is a follow-up from our first robotics team. The 7 Sigma robotics team won first place in the first Tech Challenge West Virginia State Championship held at Fairmont State University, Fairmont, West Virginia, on Sunday, December 3rd. The team competed against 23 teams from 7 states, including West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, and Iowa. The team was awarded a grant, I'd like to remind everyone, from the Forest Hills Foundation for Education earlier this year to develop and teach an after-school program at Wilson Elementary within the Forest Hills School District. The goal of the Team 7 Sigma is to provide hands-on opportunities to elementary students to ignite a passion for STEM through robotics so that they may benefit from the same high-quality STEM experiences that have inspired the members of 7 Sigma. So we'd like to thank the foundation for that. And the team is comprised of students from the greater Cincinnati area, with all members residing in Anderson Township. Turpin High School participant Austin Moats, Andrew Moats, John Mays, Jackson Todd, and Rohan Randani. And from Anderson High School, Tessos Manganeras. And so we'd like to congratulate all of those students and wish them good luck as they continue entering more contests to get to that national level. So those are 2 correspondence items.
Thank you. Treasurer correspondence?
We have a letter from Anderson Township that was informing us that the TIF meeting on the 7th of December was canceled due to lack of membership, and it's rescheduled for this Thursday, the 21st at 5 p.m.
Thank you. Any Board of Education correspondence? Okay, next up, procedure for public commentary. This is not a public meeting, but a meeting held in public. We do welcome your comments. We have erstwhile green cards that are now white pieces of paper that have all the directions on them. If anyone would like to address the board, you can fill out that sheet, and we will call on you, and that will be now. So, next up, item 7.1, public comments. First up, Jay Moore.
I'm Jay Moore. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you again 2 months in a row. I'm going to address item 14.2 on the agenda. Policy class 5430, class rank. That's going to be voted on later this evening. I'm specifically going to ask the Board of Education to make a motion that vote does not occur, and it's directed back to the Policy committee for additional research. Couple comments I'd like to make why I'm asking for this specific action. In my review of the strategic vision that Forest Hills School District put together in the years 2016 and 2017, item 1, vision, striving to ensure student or success for all students. Purpose, empower each student to achieve personal success every day. Emphasis, each student, personal success. Connecting that with the policy of getting rid of eliminating class rank and the titles of valedictorian, salutatorian. There's been a number of meetings, a lot of folks have attended them, and there's a lot of agreement that class rank, valedictorian, not really weighted in a college decision, and that's fine. Our choice here and the strategic vision for Forest Hills is about empowering individual students. We learned at a parent meeting the other night we had here in this very room, there's a lot of students that are very interested to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in their class. They're working hard. They're taking AP courses online. They're taking classes at local colleges in an effort to improve their GPA so they can be valedictorian and salutatorian. I think that's in exact alignment with the purpose of the policy that each student should be allowed to achieve their personal success. And I'd like for the board to consider that, regardless of the fact that valedictorian class rank may have on their college placement, which has been a big part of our discussion. Item 2, under strategic vision, is beliefs. 2 items I'd like to highlight. We believe, the school district believes, that learning occurs in different ways depending on abilities, readiness, and interest. The last item, we believe, includes reflection and requires learners to be responsible for their learning. I believe that the top 10, 20, 30 children, kids that want to be valedictorian, salutatorian, be number 1 in their class rank, that's a choice they should be allowed to make. It shouldn't be taken away from them. Just like tonight, we had the young ladies playing music was outstanding. One of them should be allowed to be first chair. And if they choose to take private lessons to be first chair, that should be their choice. If there's a captain of the football team and he works really hard or pays to take classes and wants to be captain, he sacrifices for that, he should be allowed to do that. If we have children that want to take a lot of extra classes at colleges or online to improve their grade point average so they can say they're valedictorian or salutatorian, who are we to say that's wrong? All right, secondarily, in the proposal under class rank 5430 that's being presented tonight, there's a system called the Latin system for awarding Latin honors, 3 different divisions. And the main reason I'm asking for the board to send this back to the committee to research is I find the policy as written to be discriminatory and not in alignment with the goals of the Forest Hills School District. For instance, magna cum laude will be awarded to people, the top 5% of the class. Top 5% of the class will be currently totally decided by how many AP courses you take, how many outside AP courses you take, how many college credit plus courses you take, which is an exact contradiction to our purpose that each student should achieve their personal success every day. So by setting a policy, oh, I thought maybe my 5 minutes was up.
Okay. That is it.
Can I continue?
That is 5 minutes, but go ahead and wrap it up.
All right, thank you. By setting a policy that identifies a percentage of students for any award that automatically says that that child has to do something extra to get there because his classmates are going to do it. It takes a kid that decides that they want to go to the Oaks, and they say to that kid at the Oaks, hey, you can't be magna cum laude because there's no way they're ever going to be in the top 5%. Matter of fact, they're probably going to say there's no way they can be summa cum laude, and maybe they can graduate cum laude. It's the same for a child that says, my interest is not in AP courses, my interest is in humanities and in writing. We don't have as great a choice in classes. So now we take this opportunity away from them to graduate with honors of magna cum laude and summa cum laude, et cetera. So I'll wrap up just the way I started. I'm asking the school board to direct the policy committee to reevaluate their presentation, their recommendation to you, take into consideration the strategic vision that was placed last year, which is exceptionally well done, and come back in the future with a recommendation that's fair to all our students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Next up is Forrest S. Heiss. I will be enforcing the 5 minutes.
I will not.
As much as I possibly could.
I will not.
Which is not at all.
So, you have the floor.
When's my time start? That's what I want to know. Okay. I thought the lectern becomes electric after 5 minutes. And it shocks you.
Started about 32 years ago.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the board. Things haven't changed much in 8 years. I see Stanley here. If Stanley wasn't here, this meeting wouldn't go on, and I just appreciate him and all he's done for the district over the many, many years. I enjoyed the Christmas presentation. I miss Dick Wesp and bringing a chorus concert in here that he did every year. But the ladies were just fantastic. First of all, on behalf of myself and my family, I would like to express my deep appreciation to the district, the board, the staff for all the cards, flowers, visitation on the death of my wife a few weeks ago. But the real reason I'm here is to talk about and thank two board members that are retiring tonight. First is Tracy Hubner. I don't know how many years ago I met her. How old is your oldest child?
12, so 12 years ago.
Well, 12 years ago, she ran for the Board of Education while pregnant.
Yeah.
Which I said, why is this pregnant woman running for the Board of Education? But she did it, served very well, just a joy to be with. She had an education background, which was very helpful to the board. Always did what she felt was best interest of the students. Very thoughtful. I thought very smart, except for just recently she agreed to come back on the board. She would have a better depth and understanding. I know she's probably being accused of double dipping. Which, of course, we.
She is PTA
I'm
president.
unaware of in the history of this district anybody's come back on the board twice. So, but you have created your own notch in the history of the Forest Hill School District. Secondly, I'd like to express my appreciation to Julie for her years of service. I was a small part in trying to encourage her to run for the board. She very energetic, dedicated to the district, with her husband Mark, who was on the park board I think at the time too. She had two young boys who were in the district, and that sort of brings passion with the job. They're now fine young men, very fortunate in that area. One of them went to Kenyon. One of my kids went to Kenyon. It's just a small way how things go up. But we appreciate everything you've done and the sacrifices for both of you and your family. You have to be proud that you're leaving the district in a much better place than you did. And personally, I want to thank you for getting rid of the trailers at Wilson. I miss Randy not showing up with 5 briefcases and a luggage pull. He's all got the computer now. Just unbelievable what happens in this district. So again, I wish the 2 new board members much success. You have big shoes to fill, but I'm sure you're going to do a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest.
That's the shortest you've ever been up. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a STEM presentation, district updates from the superintendent. Item 8.1. Natasha?
Last year, we had a team of teachers come together representing K through 12, led by Anita Eshelman, who wasn't able to be here with us tonight. She did tremendous work in this area with our teammate Trisha Underwood, who was a teacher leader who helped carry this out. And we had several administrators as a part of this as well. And we want to take just a moment to kind of share with you where we are in our STEM education implementation, as it's a huge part of our strategic vision. So it's the pathway piece. It's related to courses and experiences we want our students to have as they progress through Forest Hills. Just recently, we took a community survey, and this shows some of the results that clearly points out when our stakeholders were asked what subject areas or what topic areas were most interested or they found most interesting for our students to take to pursue and have a successful post-graduation experience, STEM education far outweighed the results from some of the other categories and some of the other pathways that are possible. So we were certainly affirmed in our decision-making about STEM education and why we're making such a push for this in our district with those community results. Last year, when we got together, go ahead, Susan. The team of people came together to really identify what should drive STEM curriculum and science education in Forest Hills. And so these were the 4 key pieces. We wanted it to be inquiry-based, we wanted it to be rooted in the real-world problem solving, authentic experiences that weren't so picture-perfect in a textbook, more real where the challenges are real, you have to roll up your sleeves and kind of get dirty in your learning versus kind of neat, nice problems. And as well as the perseverance with a growth mindset. And one of the key things, I'm not going to show you this visual right now, but one of the key aspects of the K-12 framework that was created that I'm most proud of is that the teachers agreed, K all the way to 12, to have specific experiences that would happen throughout your Forest Hills experience. And so that's something to be proud of in that it's not going to be you're lucky to have teacher X or you're so lucky to be at class or school X that we're going to make sure every K2 student has a similar experience, every 3, 4, 6, 8, et cetera. And that was very important to the team. These are the science skills that students need to be able to know and do related to deep analysis. You will see a lot in all classrooms across the school district is that kids are coming home, they're having to give their claims, their evidence, and their reasoning. They can't just go through the motions, they have to really dig deep and give rationale for their arguments. So what you're going to see in our classrooms, we've made a huge kind of dent in this year, and it's going to just keep going deeper, is this shift from, and I'm going to step over here a little bit, we're moving away from more memorization and just knowing terms and facts to where students are having to apply that information to create solutions. And they're having to do this in all their evidence-based arguments. We're shifting away from teachers providing information to the whole class at one time. And you'll see that as you come in and look at how our furniture and our classrooms are designed. The whole point is that we are digging in, investigating in small groups, being able to explore, and it's not, everybody's hands are being able to get dirty with science, not just hearing about it or watching it, you're experiencing it, and that's really important to us. Students, the traditional way of learning science has really been read in the textbook, answer some questions at the back of the book. And we're shifting away from that. Reading is certainly still a huge part of science, but we want to be more in an investigative mode, not like searching and finding for answers and being able to quickly do a summary at the end of the book or at the end of the chapter. You're going to see less worksheets in our science class. You're going to see more journal entries, more real-life products that are created by our students. and a shift really away from cookbook labs, where, as I was saying earlier, everything is kind of perfectly neat, it kind of works out just according to plans, whereas we want science to really replicate the real world. And so those are shifts that you don't just kind of snap your fingers and then overnight all teachers are producing in this way and all students are producing in this way. But this is what you're going to see over time as our curriculum is more deeply implemented and our students' skills grow. This graphic represents how all the content areas come together. You see the essential skills from English, math, and science. And the skills that kind of glue all of those together end up dealing with being able to argue, being able to build evidence, and kind of support your claims with what you're seeing. And what you're going to also hear in our district is you're going to hear us to stop talking about just STEM education, and you're going to see more of this idea of STEAM, with the A representing not only arts, but humanities. It's the whole interdisciplinary approach. That science in a vacuum isn't really how the real world goes. It's really how all the contents come together, and you're going to see more and more of that. So in our elementary, we chose an amplified curriculum, K-8, which does allow students to go on and do simulation lab experiences as well as real-life lab experiences. The teachers are working very hard. It's a pretty intricate program. You know, gone are the days where you just get a new textbook and you kind of work through the chapters. There are many, many pieces, and so they've spent many hours in development and just trying this out with their students and kind of learning as we go. The new high school courses that we were able to offer this year, and this was based on interest from students. A survey was completed last year. It was astronomy and forensic science. And so we're really happy to say that those courses were developed by our own teachers and filled very quickly with students and their interests. And so we were able to get rid of some courses to bring some of those more high interest. And then you've heard us talk about this, Project Lead the Way. It's a program that's vetted, nationally recognized, that is chock full of professional development for our teachers, resources and materials that really represent and reflect real-world learning. And we have this K-12, and several students, we're phasing it in. So just second graders, third graders, and sixth graders are getting experience this year with things such as coding and robotics. We have 2 new courses at the middle school that are available to our students, design and modeling with engineering and the science of technology. And in the high school, we are able to offer the beginning of the biomedical and the engineering pathway, which allows students to also receive college credit. And I just want to show a few little pictures of what, as you see the visuals here in these courses, you can see the hands-on nature of these courses, that this is not students sitting in a row listening to a teacher talking about science, they are experiencing science. And Susan, if you'll just keep going, this is, you know, you're starting with like toilet paper rolls or wrapping paper rolls when you're in elementary school, and then it's turning into full-blown robotics kits and tools, more industry level kinds of things when you get into high school. And this map here, this next map, just shows, it shows visually about all the schools in the area who also have Project Lead the Way. So we think making this investment in our students in the STEM program is really helping us prepare our students well. Just a side note, I was sharing some of the details of Project Lead the Way with the Forest Hills Foundation, and they had just recently attended an event, a local event, that where it was a business leader who had actually asked, so do you guys have Project Lead the Way at your school district? And what we're finding is when schools have Project Lead the Way, you're looked at from businesses from a high level, knowing that the kinds of skills and the kinds of experiences that you're giving your students. And so that gives us a leg up in partnering with businesses that we're going to continue to explore as we write grants and continue to fund this above and beyond program in our district. So I want to say a special thank you to Forest Hills Foundation for their interest in STEM and their support of STEM through robotics, et cetera. You heard about some of those details earlier. And you heard last board meeting about Duke Energy for helping us fund Project Lead the Way. So you really can't do STEM in a bubble without reaching out to partners and collaborating across the community. And we are very excited about their interest in us and our continued partnerships as we reach out into the real world and bring those experiences into our classrooms and our students out into the real world. So just wanted to give you a little brief update on where we are with our implementation And our teachers are working very hard. There's, as I mentioned, lots of pieces and parts and new things to learn. But they really are passionate about this, dedicated to it. And many of them the high school teachers spent 2 weeks away in the summer, away from their families, 24/7, in an intensive professional development. Our middle school teachers were away for a week, and then our elementary teachers had like a 2 to 3 day thing. So this is not like any other professional development available for teachers. So we're very proud of their, as I said, passion, dedication, and interest in bringing this experience to our students. So, any questions?
The forensic science class, is that the one that we're seeing on social media where in the classrooms, the tape and there's like been a murder and they're checking, is that all from forensic science? Or is that like?
Or is that
I know it's one of the science classes.
I'll confirm that it's not for real. We have two things going. There is the crime scene at the high schools, which I have a funny story about, but then there's also a crime scene at Nagel right now that some of the Fusion students are working through mysteries, and then that's a piece of it, kind of a whodunit. But what happened with at construction at Anderson, the teacher had come, and it's a pretty involved thing to set up a crime scene, and she did everything. And then I think it was Thanksgiving or break, or sometime we had a long weekend, and the custodians came and took care and cleaned it all up for her. So when she came back on Monday, no crime scene.
Oh no!
So
those are neat. To
I
see
know.
the
Go
pictures
figure.
of.
Go figure.
My only comment for Project Lead the Way and learning about like the robotic kits and stuff that they're doing at the elementary grade. I know they're being phased in. I love the concept. I want us to do more of it. I just worry about like the funding. A lot of the things, I mean, with education, but I just worry that we're trying to do this in elementary, but we don't necessarily have enough robotic kits. Like, I know one of the issues in the media centers is, the kids are building them, but then for the next class to come in, they kind of have to be taken apart. And so when they come back in next week, so I love the idea. I want us to, I want to see more of it, but I just wish, I love that we have the foundation in Duke, and I hope we can have more partners so that we can put more into it so that the kids can really embrace this.
Yeah, especially as the sixth graders have been getting into this recently, like that is what we've experienced. And it's like setting up your whole Lego thing, and then, the bell rings and the next period class needs to come in and they need the same material. So we are working through some of those things. Those are the kinds of challenges that we're being faced with right now. And, I walked into a Learning Commons the other day, and literally it's like a spoon and a teacher counting these little parts. I mean, there's things
They're
this
so
big,
tiny.
things this big. I mean, it's very intricate. And so those are consumables that, over time we will need to replace. And that's kind of the challenge of jumping into this and being able to account for the pieces and really create something with it. Because if it looks like, you can look on the outside and just see like students are just kind of messing with Legos. It's what they're able to program, the coding. It's all the deeper learning that we want to get to. And so we don't want the management of all those pieces to get in the way. So we are certainly still working through those details.
Yeah.
And the same is true really in the high school. There are lots of pieces and parts to those courses. And the teachers have dedicated tons of time into organizing and figuring this out, but that is part of our learning. So one thing coming up in January, we'll be bringing all the Project Lead the Way teachers together, and we'll continue to network with other teachers to kind of learn so we're not, reinventing mistakes that, other people have already learned through. Okay, thanks.
Okay, next up is board discussion.
A couple things.
All right.
It's tradition that the senior board member lead off discussion about retiring board members when that time comes. It is now. But actually, and I was really glad to see the true board member of the board step up to the podium and begin the discussion about our two retiring board members. But let me start with Tracy. You were on the board from 2006 through 2013, correct? You have 3 kids, all currently at Sherwood right now. Yeah. So naturally, she's also the president of the Sherwood PTA this year, correct? And you were a teacher at Milford, correct? English. She's the one who always kept it, one of the 2 people that always kept us straight on all of our grammar and spelling and everything that everything we put in writing. Tracy was also the unofficial book reviewer for us. And when you're on the Board of Education, you get a lot of material to read. So now that you're going to be leaving the Board of Education, we thought you might have some time to do some more reading. And for you, we have a book called Uncommon Type. It's a book of short stories. And the book's flap says that the stories range from the hilarious to the deeply touching. And we figured that was appropriate because that's kind of what your life on the board is like. Hilarious, but anyway, you can put this under the tree if you wish.
Thank you.
This might not be, so anyway. The card fell off. Okay, now. Julie Bissinger. Julie is currently the City of Cincinnati Assistant Solicitor of Labor and Employment. Is that correct? I'm sure that's a part-time job because Julie spends the other part-time job working in Forest Hills. I can't imagine anybody who spends more time here and is more involved and more passionate about Forest Hills than Julie Bissinger. When I met you, you were president of the Forest Hills Council PTA. At that time, we had a board seat that opened, and you were appointed. And I think I had only been on the board about a year. But so we came along, kind of learned a lot of things together. Let's see, Julie has been, let's see now, the Safety Committee. You're the only person I think I can ever recall who's been on the Safety Committee the whole time you've been on the board. Policy Committee chairs that. The HR Committee, you're the Forest Hills Foundation for Education liaison for the board. You were on at least one, if not more than one, of the facilities review committees that we had over the many years. You are in many roles within the community. And you were president of the board 2007 and 2009, currently the vice president. And the one thing I will say is you were involved, you were a supporter of athletics, drama, especially drama, music, and most of all, you were a supporter of students. You know, in any board, people don't always agree on everything all the time, but the one thing that was very clear, your passion is for doing what's right for students, faculty, staff, the whole school district, but especially you cared. You asked the tough questions. I will say that it's been a value to have two attorneys on the board, and we will miss your side of the legal discussion. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for Forest Hills. And of course, since you'll have some extra time, and you won't have all this volumes of stuff to read, we've got a book called The Rooster Bar, and it is a best-selling author, John Grisham's latest legal drama,
Oh, boy.
which we thought you might like. And now you'll have a chance. This one's fiction instead of all the nonfiction you've been reading on the board, at least hopefully. But anyway, thank you for everything you've done. I'm sure my fellow board members have got a few things to say.
So we have more stuff.
Hardware.
I'll also echo what Randy said. Tracy, as we were first 4 years together, and then she made the mistake of answering my phone call this summer when we came up with the resignation, and her true commitment to the district came up then. She knew she could step in, and we all knew she could step in and hit the ground running, and she has. She obviously had no idea how much fun she was going to have over these last 4 months, but she has absolutely been integral in our success that we've had navigating these fun times, challenging times. And Julie, obviously, you've been on the board for the last 8 years with me, 5 years before that. It's been an absolute honor working with you. Your commitment to the kids, commitment to the board, and your overall cheerful personality has really been a true godsend to what we do here and what we do for the district. So I want to personally thank you for that. And we have flowers here for you to also brighten up your holiday season.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if the community truly appreciates the huge favor Tracy Hubner did for us when Mr. Hemmelgarn was resigning. We were able to bring in somebody that was able to immediately contribute. There's a reason that the state statutes require a board of 5, and it's important that we have 5 contributing board members, and in almost any other circumstance, we would have been a board of 4. It wouldn't have been as strong a board. And Tracy, thank you so much for stepping in and immediately contributing and helping us over these last months.
My pleasure.
I don't even know where to begin with Julie, and I'm just going to keep it short. You know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. This board has always worked very well together. We complement each other, we pick each other up and fill in for each other's weaknesses. And there's something Julie contributes that we're simply not going to be able to replace. We all care deeply, but nobody has Julie Bissinger's heart. Nobody. And we're going to miss you, Julie. We're really going to miss you.
I just want to say briefly, I don't really feel like this is my night of resigning or retirement. This is really Julie's night. I already had my moment. I already finished my 8 years, and I'm just filling in for the 6 months, but I didn't think I would be on the board again with you, Julie, when you were leaving, and I've learned so much from you over the past several years, and it was a pleasure that when the 8 years I was on the board, you were there as well, and we follow in the same shoes in the sense of the Sherwood families. We both come from that background, and I think you said it well at the PTA Council that we've kind of done our roles in reverse.
I said you did it backwards.
I did it backwards. She did it right, I did it wrong. No. That I did it backwards, and that I did all the school board stuff first, and now I'm stepping into the PTA now that my kids are there. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you, both in the board and out, so congratulations.
So I texted Forrest right before the meeting, and I've just been really reflective over the last, you can ask my family. I asked him if I could have 5 or 10 minutes to talk, and Forrest said, take as long as you want, and I said, I think 5 or 10 minutes will do it. But I wrote some notes, and if you don't mind, so I can look at all of you, I'm going to stand up there, if that's okay. Is that all right? Thank you. And I'm really glad that it's a small meeting because it's sort of the hardcore people that are here, and you'll appreciate this. If it were people that don't usually come, I don't think that would be the case. And I also want to say I wore black tonight because I knew Forrest was wearing what he was going to wear, and I didn't want to clash with him. So when I went to Forest Hills PTA Council 2 weeks ago, I said, 13 years is a really cool amount of time because it's the same amount of time that your kids are in school, from kindergarten through 12th grade. And, Luke's been out of school now for a while, and Nate's a junior at Miami. So 13 years causes you to be reflective not only of the time at the district, but also of being a parent. So I really had the privilege of working with some great board members and staff who have frankly enriched my life in so many ways. If you'll allow me, I'm going to take these 5 or 10 minutes and sort of talk about specific individuals that have touched me. And I don't want this talk to be about me. When people talk about me, I think it's annoying, but there's going to be some of that in here. So there have been 8 board members that I've had the privilege to work with. First one that comes to mind is Winnie Clayton. Some of you may not remember Winnie. When I joined the board, Winnie was a retired teacher. And Winnie was and is an historian, and she's a patriot, and tradition is very important to Winnie. And she instilled in me a strong foundation of the value of serving in Forest Hills. And then there's Forrest S. Heiss, our president's dad, and I'm so glad you came tonight. I can't even tell you what that means to me. Forrest served for 32 years on the board. He did encourage me to apply for the vacant board position in January of 2005. And I really didn't know Forrest very well at the time, but he had in his mind that he wanted a PTA mom on the board. And so that's what happened. After I joined the board, Forrest was my mentor and became my beloved dear friend. And he always treated me with the utmost respect, and he encouraged my leadership, not just in the board itself. And I know you've heard me say this hundreds of times. I tell Forrest it all the time, and I'm going to tell you again, I love you. I do. I do. I love you. I love Forrest Ice. Rich Newman. Rich, always looked at not what is, but what could be or what might be. Rich was the board visionary when he was on the board. He always put the best interests of the district first, even if it was to his own personal detriment at times. Rich asked me the best question I have ever been asked in an interview, and I'm not going to say it as artfully as he did, but it was something to the effect of, you're on the board, you've studied something, you have more information than anybody on a particular subject. There's either a strong group of vocal people in the community or the majority of the community that thinks something else should happen. What would you do? And I answered it, and I've thought about that many times over the years in being a board member. And I thank Rich for that, and we're still friends to this day. Tracy, we ran for the first time at the same time in the election of November of 2005. And I think I've told you this. I was a little intimidated because I didn't know what it was to run for the board, and I think our year was maybe the first year where actual money was spent and there was an actual campaign. Tracy was a soon-to-be mom, and fast forward to now, and she has 3 kids at Sherwood, and she is the PTA president. I appreciate not only Tracy's commitment to the community, but also her mother's. I've learned a lot from the Hubner-Zimmerman family and what it means to be loyal to a community, again, even if it's to your own personal detriment. When it came to filling the board vacancy this year, Tracy stepped up and returned to the board to finish out the last half of 2017. She certainly earned her keep coming back because we had some really tricky issues to deal with this year. We had 2 senior level administrators leave, and we had some issues with Anderson High School. So Tracy was able to step right in and be a very contributing member of the board. And you know, Tracy, I have to say, I've loved watching you grow as a person and a mother, and I do love it that our roles are switched and you're now the president of Sherwood. Yay, Sherwood. Tony Hemmelgarn. Tony's oldest son, Zach, and our oldest son were great friends at Sherwood. So I knew Tony and his wife, Christine, well before we were on the board together. I think as a board member, Tony, I consider Tony unassuming, quiet in his leadership style. But when he weighed in on an issue, his remarks were frequently profound and often unique to the conversation because he came from an educator's and an athletic director's perspective. We all listened intently to Tony when he spoke, especially when it was in tricky executive session communications on executive sessions on personnel issues. Tony subtly added a nuance the rest of us had not considered. Randy Smith. I've served the longest with Randy. Randy was elected just prior to me. I tease Randy a lot about being a process guy, a P&G guy, but truth be told, Randy has done probably more to push this board forward than any other single board member. Randy encouraged us to implement the committee system, which we didn't have before. He was a founding member of the Forest Hills Foundation, and he urged an evaluation process for our superintendent and our treasurer, which we didn't have before, and now we have a really good process. Right?
Oh, it's beautiful.
We had a great evaluation.
We have some Kleenex for you.
Thank you. Is my nose running? Okay. Sorry. Thank you. You can just leave the box. Jim, I've known a lot of lawyers over the years. I've known some brilliant lawyers that don't have common sense, and I've known some lawyers that are very strong in common sense, but maybe aren't as brilliant. I think I said this to Mark just this weekend. You have both to the max. It's unbelievable how gifted you are as a lawyer and as a common sense person. Jim's attention to detail and his keen focus on issues make all of us better informed board members. Personally, I have to say this, Jim has given legitimacy to some of the decisions I have made that varied from the majority of the board. And he has said that to me in private, and he has said it in public. And I can't even tell you how grateful I am for that. I'll never forget you for that. Thank you so much. Forrest T. Heiss. What I can say is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like his dad, Forrest is a staunch advocate for public education. This year was a very difficult year in the Heiss family. I think Scott said it best when he talked about, having attended Nancy's memorial service, that the Heiss family is what family's all about. So Nancy became ill and passed, and during that time also, again, we lost two of our administrative people, and we had some issues with Anderson. And I was the vice president, and I asked Forrest time and time again, I will step in for you whenever you need help. I'll do anything you can. And you know how many times he asked me? Maybe once or twice. So he led this district this year in an unbelievable fashion with everything that was going on. And I want to say another thing about Forrest, and this is the biggest compliment I can give you. You are flat out a good man. You are a good man through and through. I think that about my husband too, so. No, I do. But you're a good man. And you have become a very dear friend to me. Central office. You didn't think you were going to get away, did you? Natasha Adams. I looked up Natasha's current title because I wasn't sure what it was because she keeps taking on more and more. And I think it is, according to the website, Executive Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, right? Okay. It's been really fun to see Natasha grow as an assistant principal at Nagel, to a principal at Nagel, to going to central office. There are certain people that you meet in your life where you know they're doing exactly what they were meant to do. You are that person, Natasha. She's so smart that sometimes I can't even follow what she's saying. I have to ask her to explain it to me. Tell me like I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So she's so smart. Natasha's star shines so bright, and the sky is the limit to what you can do. Betsy Ryan, Director of Student Services. All students have needs. Betsy works with the students who have extra special needs. Betsy has a gift. I see some of the same qualities in Betsy that I see in my middle sister, because she has had a similar career path to yours. I am in awe of the caring compassion with which you approach every single student and every single family to help that student be the best that he or she can be. And I think I shared with Betsy, I know I shared with Betsy, but I don't know that all of you know that. One of the students that we worked with a lot when she was in Wilson Elementary, who is blind, is now a law student, and we hired her this summer in our office. So it all comes back to Betsy. Tammy Carnahan, our HR director. I relate the most to Tammy because I do HR legal stuff for a living. Tammy has hired a number of great people during her tenure. Tammy has also mentored and nurtured people during her tenure, so many people have promoted through the system. Tammy, I think what I respect most about you is, especially in recent times, like the last 4 or 5 years, we've had some significant personnel changes that weren't always so easy, and some personnel issues. And you handled them all with respect and kindness for everyone involved. And I get that. I appreciate you for that. Someone who's not here, but is very dear to many of us, is Dr. Patzwald. Dr. Patzwald and Forrest were I really wasn't that young when I came on the board, but I felt kind of young. I was in my, I guess, mid-40s, but Dr. Patzwald did what Forrest did for me. He mentored me. Dr. Patzwald's greatest gift, and I've only seen this to the extent I've seen it in Dr. Patzwald, in one other person, is his unbelievable ability to make every single person he meets feel valued and valuable. I mean, I worked for a guy like that, the first solicitor I worked for, Dick Castellini. I'm telling you, he had it, and he's a lovely, lovely man. Mike Broadwater, assistant superintendent. The board literally plucked you out of being a beloved principal at Anderson High School because we didn't want you to leave. We thought you might be leaving us, and we didn't want to lose you. We really didn't have an assistant superintendent at the time, so it was a challenge for Mike to get acclimated and frankly to be accepted into the system. But he stayed and he did it, and he did it with flying colors. Mike is a true partner to Scott, I believe, and I think Scott treats him that way. He heads a lot of significant projects and programs for the district, but the most significant one now is he is the person who monitors, makes decisions on our bond project that is ongoing, and really thrust may be too strong of a word, but I'm pretty sure it was thrust upon you when there were changes in administration, so thank you, Mike, for that. Scott. Timing in life can be everything. You came to us one time, and you came to us a second time, and when you came to us a second time, the time was right. You and I have talked about that. You came to us with the right educational skills and the right personality. When we transitioned from Dr. Patzwald to Dallas Jackson, the board wanted more of a CEO. But we're in the business, you're in the business of education, so you have to have a heart too. You are the ideal superintendent because you are an educator with a heart. You're a CEO with a heart. And I know in the last couple years, you and I have gotten close. I mean, not creepy close, don't tell. Don't tell.
Your husband's here.
Waved him
Waved to Mark again. Sorry.
Don't, yeah, tell Leah that I said that in a good way, but I remember when, I think that one of the most touching things in the last several months was after I told Randy and Scott first. It was almost up to election decision time, and I told Randy and Scott together, and Scott went home and talked to Leah, and Leah called me and told me the value of our relationship, and I am sincerely grateful for that. Susan Monk. I don't even know how long I've known Susan. It feels like I've known her my whole life. Susan has been an administrative assistant for 3 superintendents, right? And talk about going with the flow. Because different people, different personalities, different ways of doing things. Susan literally knows more about the district, no offense, at any given time than any individual. If you need to know anything, you just ask Susan. Susan is intensely loyal and one of the kindest, gentlest souls I've ever known. She's been a dear friend and a confidant to me over the years. Principals, teachers, and staff, Forrest was so gracious to allow me to speak at opening day in his place. I didn't know he was going to do it until the week before, and I didn't know he was going to actually say kind things about me that day, but it really was very kind. I spoke in detail at opening day about principals and teachers and staff and what you all mean to our students, our families, and to our family personally. Suffice it to say that I think children are products of nurture and nature. And I have 2 really great kids, and they're young adult men now, and you nurtured their minds and bodies and spirits so that they are who they are today. 2 new board members, Elizabeth Barber and Dee Dee Choice. Elizabeth has been working so hard to get to this place where she has decided to be on the board. She's been on various committees. She has studied issues. I think she studied the bond issue. I've said this to many people, including Elizabeth. She studied the bond issue probably more than any of us. I think she knew more about that bond issue and what was in it and what wasn't in it and what the costs were and everything than any person I knew. Well, now's the time for Elizabeth to be on the board. And as a mother of young children and a business executive, Elizabeth will infuse new ideas and her own compassionate energy on the board. Dee Dee, I just got to meet fairly recently. I had no idea who Dee Dee was, other than I knew that she was a former educator, and we've always had, like I said before, a former educator on the board, and it's been really good. Dee Dee is a former principal. She had a son who went to school here. Dee Dee has been attending meetings since we knew that she and Elizabeth were unopposed. We've invited them to all our meetings. Dee Dee's very bright, and she's very committed to public education, and I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but I think you're a lovely woman. You're welcome. The community will be, I think, in excellent hands with Dee Dee and Elizabeth joining the board, and I'm sure you all will help them become acclimated. I also sort of, this is, I guess, tangential to the individual things I'm saying, but I want to thank the community for entrusting in me all these years to serve on the board. It's truly been an honor, and I don't think without the parent community and the parents I've known over the years, many of whom I think will be my friends forever, I don't think I would be on the board to begin with, so I would thank the community. And since my family's here, I would have thanked them anyway, but thank you so much. I mean, you've heard me you've talked to me and supported me in good times, and there haven't always been good times, but it's been such an adventure with you, and thank you, Mark, for always being the campaign person for me and making me do things I was uncomfortable doing and pushing me hard, and Nate for wrapping yourself in a blanket and sitting at Salem Church and working the polls. Public service is truly an honor and a privilege, and I thank you all for enriching my life and the life of my family by allowing me to be part of such an amazing district. Thank you. You want to hug me, don't you?
I'm not a creepy hug.
Very nice. Thank you for everything. Next up, we have item 9.2, election of President Pro Tem. Someone like to make a motion?
I nominate Jim Fruman as President Pro Tem.
I second. It's reorganization.
Any discussion?
No discussion. Mr. Giuffre.
Mr. Smith?
Let me add to my motion, it's
Okay.
President Pro Tem for the organizational meeting.
We second. Go ahead.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Huebner?
Yes.
Our organization meeting is January 3rd at 7 a.m. Bright and early.
So it's a love fest tonight. It's tradition for, I thought we did this at the first meeting of the year, but I've been corrected that it's tonight. And it's a tradition for the vice president to give the president, the outgoing president, a token of all of our appreciation for this year. And as I said previously, this has been one heck of a year for Forrest and his family. And I think your leadership has been outstanding, and I don't know that a lot of people could have done what you did. So I'm opening it up because it's beautiful, and it says, Forest Hills School District, Dr. Forrest T. Heiss, President, Forest Hills Board of Education, January through December 2017. And there you are. Don't drop it.
I won't. Thank you very much.
So, Dr. Heiss, I know that it's a night to honor Tracy and Julie, but I have a couple of things, if I may. My working with Dr. Heiss this year has been extremely beneficial to me in my second year as superintendent. I have thoroughly enjoyed our Thursday morning meetings, and we haven't missed but maybe one or two along the way, even with the very tumultuous year that you have encountered and your family has encountered. I found Forrest to be an extremely quick study. He is extremely analytical. He is a very, 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 very busy man who is efficient in the way he makes decisions, in his actions, in his expectations, and in his thinking. And I have found that to be helpful to me because I never had to wonder what you were thinking. So that was good. Forrest is the ultimate glass half full person that I have ever met. He always finds the positive in every situation. He never judges people, which I think is interesting. He judges situations, and he tries to put people in positions where they can achieve good things. And many of the meetings that I've had with Forrest are about me bringing a problem or me bringing some type of information to him that I'm not really excited to do after the year we've had with some of the construction. But he's never really gotten into the negative side of it. He's always tried to seek a way to get through the problem, to offer assistance, to give me someone to call or some other thing to think about. And so I appreciate that. And, you know, superintendents, board presidents, board members, there are relationships that develop over time. The one that I have developed with you is quite professional, and it's one that I am very proud to be a part of. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership throughout this year. Julie, without getting real, you know, weird. Your husband weird or whatever, I have many things listed for Tracy about education, quick study, very analytical, help with contracts, see things very quickly and all that. And so I appreciate those things in you. And I appreciate the fact that you did, as Jim said, come and get us through some very difficult times. My relationship with Julie is a special one. I think we've sort of developed as less professional colleagues and more as sort of confidants and friends. And those are the conversations that we've had. And whether it was about board issues or family issues or whatever, I always felt that I was talking to someone who was listening, who would provide solid assistance to me in anything that I was dealing with. And so not only are you highly respected in this community or highly respected by me and my family, and you too are a person who sees the good in others, and you seek that good and then you work from there. And I appreciate that, and I think the district will always have fond memories of you, and you're welcome back, please, anytime to help with that superintendent evaluation or any other item that you would like to help with. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Next up, business operations. We have a facilities update.
Brief.
What better way to follow up those niceties than look at change orders? So we will, Mr. Zimmer up, and I'll go through the change orders that we have here. I will say congratulations to Tracy and Julie, and thank you very, very much for all you've done for our kids. But I'm going to skip to 10-2, which is the change orders at Maddox Elementary. The superintendent is recommending the board approve the change orders submitted by Seifert Construction, and the amounts shown there. The change order 18 that you see, there were 3 unforeseen conditions: relocating existing fire alarm cabling, metal floor covering in rooms 111 and 112, and there was an opening in the cafeteria that needed to be filled. By the owner request, the district wanted to have an extra kitchen area cable, remove the backflow preventer that was in there, which will alleviate some issues in the future, and also fill in a concession window that was open. And then we also, the district wanted to change out 10 toilet bowls there. So we're recommending that. The architect, looking at that, you have new block wall in room 137, and we are relocating the downspout line as requested by the architect. The total there is $13,378. The next one is Mercer Elementary. Superintendent recommends the board approve the change order submitted by Mark Spalding Construction and the amounts listed there. The first change order is actually a credit for light fixtures damaged by the subcontractor and replaced by the district. Change order 34, various conditions, the unforeseen conditions, repairing conduit damage when cutting a slab that was not on the drawing, so they inadvertently cut that. Along the same lines, repair the electric conduit under the concrete at the main entrance, not shown on drawings. And because of that, the next one is the X-raying of additional main entrance concrete, so don't have the same issues. Next one is changing from wood nosing on the steps in Kiva at Mercer to vinyl with reflective tape, which makes it a little bit safer for us. The owner request is to install fire-rated blockings in the wall to accommodate relocated marker boards as we move those. Change order 35, unforeseen conditions, was number one there, installing new soap units as existing ones would not fit as a result of the pipe chase. Next one, provide support to opening where none existed. Add supports for a new door frame, and the last one there is adding masonry sill for the door so that we could put that in. The owner request was to add speakers as a connector so we could use those on both floors. The architectural request, misframing of bulkheads around the ductwork and mis-ceiling grid in the corridor ceiling for change order 35. Next change order was 36. The architect's request was to install bulkhead and media center, which should have been better anticipated, but was not, so the architect has requested that. The owner request, build drywall enclosure around exposed pipes. There was a disagreement on whether or not that was necessary. Obviously, we like to close those so the kids don't fool with them, and the total is listed there. Summit Elementary, the superintendent recommends the board approve the change order submitted by Mark Spalding Construction in the amount shown there. Change order 33 was an owner request. We're adding glass to a classroom door. Architectural request was to install sidewalk near the main entrance at Summit Elementary. Change order 34 is the owner request to install teledata in the Learning Commons, which is the old media center. And then the next one was code to install additional exit signs per the inspector out of Anderson Township. And the next one there for Turpin High School, superintendent recommends the board approve the change order submitted by Monarch Construction in the amount listed. You've got change order 29, and the owner request, we had, the first one was repairs to asphalt. Next one was to add rolling counter shutters to the concession stand, which is the new lobby there, new athletic lobby. Architectural request was to add fence around the new cooling tower, which should have been there but was omitted from the design, and the total is listed there. Last one with Wilson Elementary, the superintendent's recommending the board approve the change order submitted by Century Construction in the amounts listed. First change order, the architectural request is for additional electric work, which was missed in the design. Code and architectural request, installation of disconnect for electric work and chiller, and that was something that was requested later after the design by our inspectors. Unforeseen condition, we have due to poor soils, the undercutting required in the lot and driveway, which that looks like a large amount, but when you look at the next one, which is the owner request, you can see how it counters that with the credit duplication of responsibility of the playground fence. The undercutting credit built into the bid documents is listed there, and the lime stabilization credit built into the bid documents, we just pulled those out, so we've got the credit coming back for those. Change order 25, the architectural request. We added exterior soffit work, which was omitted from the documents, and we've also installed alternate smoke detectors as original design could not be accommodated. The next one there, the owner request, the owner-related casework, which required lamination of unfinished end of casework. Instead of it looking unfinished, we wanted to finish it up with the laminate. Change order 26 is a large credit for flooring in Wing A that will need to be replaced summer of 2018 due to the damage by subcontractor. We've already got the pricing, and we're already ready to go with that. As soon as we get to the summer, we'll be good. The good news for the change orders in Wilson Elementary, that is actually a credit listed. So all of those add up to a credit that is shown there. And I will turn it over to Mr. Zimmer.
Thank you, and I just want you to know if there's no questions tonight, Ms. Bissinger, you're allowed to come back in January just to ask questions, okay? So this is just going to roll, and these are some progress. We're down to 3 schools, so the progress that we'll see on site will become nominal. In fact, about mid-January, Maddox will be completely done. Right now, we're about to turn over 4 more classrooms next week, and the remaining 4 under construction, and they are scheduled to be completed by mid-January. At Turpin, the lower level area, which had been reduced in scale for the summer cycle, is nearing completion. We have 2 rooms that are about to be turned over next week, and then I think 1 remaining room, which is called Engineering and Robotics. Demo has started, and construction will begin there. Excuse me. And then the second floor, the music area, is well underway and is on schedule. Not much to report at Anderson. That will change very shortly. And we have, though, continued with the site work. The site has been cleaned up in front of the building. The masonry, the mill they make cement with has been removed and the area smoothed off. So the site looks a lot better out front. The fence adjacent to our neighbors has been installed. It's a nice vinyl fence which provides them some privacy. And we are in the process of adding some material so bus inspections can occur down there at the bus lot. And then once that work is done, which is scheduled for the week of Christmas break, then the fence will continue. So there's a privacy fence that continues down for the next 2 neighbors and then closes that lot with chain link for the rest. The masonry piers are done, and the ornate fence work has been ordered. It's manufactured per the opening, so you can't do the ordering until the masonry is there to measure from, and it's due the first week of February to be installed. So that'll kind of complete that area down there. So, any questions?
Dave, just on the issue, I mean, we don't have to get into a lot of detail, but the change order issue that you're talking about, we've been getting codes of 4 different reasons.
Right.
Even though maybe not everyone's signing off on them, will you still present to the board the reasons?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Because I think that's so critical.
Yeah,
You obviously know that. I've been like hounding on it for the whole 6 months.
I would say, I think the process is moving in a positive manner.
And up to date, we've had some resistance, but
I believe it's moving in a more positive manner right now.
You're meaning in response to Dave's comment on page 30 of his report?
Yes, I was going to speak a little bit on that.
Good.
Yeah. So it's a process that positions get taken, but up to date, we've had agreement that we presented to you. If we don't have agreement, I will still present at least my position and what the district's position would be. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Human Resources.
Item 11.1, retirement. Virginia Harness, one of our bus drivers, is retiring after 23 years with the district. So we would like to congratulate her and send our very best wishes to her for her retirement. Item E, we have, item B, we have a couple of resignations. Item C just covers D, F, and G. Item D would be appointments. At the bottom of page 1, you see these folks who are ending their probationary status. As you go on to the next page, you see some additional appointments. Moving on to page 3, we have item E. This first one, report card completion, I just wanted to let you know, this was a teacher who was covering for a colleague who had some circumstances in which she was out for an extended period of time, and so we really appreciate that this other teacher was able to help, so thanks, Jody, for that. And then I also just want to bring your attention about halfway down the page, communication interns. These are non-paid positions, and they are through UC. So they're going to be working with Erica and with the district to help us with some communication. So we're excited about that. Moving on to page 4. Item F, would be the appointment of our coaches, consultants, and advisors. Again, we continue to have a lot of folks who work with our young people. Item G, substitute personnel. And item H is a memorandum of understanding. This MOU is with our Forest Hills Teachers Association. We thank them for their collaboration. It is simply an extension of an MOU that we had with our last contract, and it will allow the district to continue to use shared attribution as a student growth measure. Since the board meeting, the last board meeting, we have had the addition of 1.60. One of those FTEs was the addition at Nagel Middle School, a paraprofessional to assist with a student, a very high needs student. And then we also have some additions with our bus routes. And so our FT at this point is 802.55. The superintendent does recommend that the board approve the personnel items as listed.
Thank you. Next up, Betsy, student services. Quite a few overnight field trips.
I would also, if it's all right, to congratulate Julie and Tracy. You also both have such a tremendous passion for our students, for all of our students, and we certainly in Student Services have appreciated your unwavering support from students with chronic medical conditions to very, very special needs and to all the unique circumstances we face every day. So congratulations. We truly appreciate all you have done. Student Services has 7 trips this evening for your approval. Item 12.1 is our trip to Central America. This is Discover Central America, offered through EF Tours. This is coming from Anderson High School for approximately 15 of their Spanish students and 2 chaperones. They will be traveling to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama City over spring break of 2019. I've included all the additional costs and details into each of these items related to, again, the cost, what it will be covered, and travel arrangements. Item 12.2 is another trip by Turpin High School for approximately 24 of their Spanish students going to the Dominican Republic, also offered through EF Tours. Item 12.3 is a trip by Turpin High School, their orchestra, traveling to Chicago. And there is approximately 40 students traveling there, March 15th through the 18th of this school year, 2018. Item 12.4 is Turpin High School's trip with 20 students traveling. Their academic quiz team will be traveling to Akron, February 23rd and 24th of 2018 for the Copley Invitational Tournament. Item 12.5 is Anderson High School's women's lacrosse team. They will be traveling to Indianapolis over spring break of 2018. Item 12.6, another spring break trip. This is Anderson High School's drama club. They will be traveling to Dayton, and that will be to Northmont High School. And item 12.7 is our German partnership exchange program for students that will be traveling in June 2019 for 3 weeks. And we have approximately 15 German students traveling there. And the superintendent is recommending the board approve the items presented by Student Services involving the overnight trips from Anderson and Turpin High School.
Thank you. Next up, the treasurer's report.
Item A, we have several monetary donations for a total of over $16,000 to Anderson High School, Turpin High School, here at Nagel, Sherwood Elementary, and notably a Summerlin Elementary PTA monetary donation for Media Center furniture in excess of $5,700. Item B, statement of board accounts. Item C, general fund receipts. And item D and E, general fund expenditures by fund and objects, are all in line with projections. Item F, monthly bank reconciliation. Item G, investment portfolios. Item H, appropriations are being increased by $38,554 to various funds, the details of which are on board docs. Item I is a request to authorize board service fund payments for OSBA Capital Conference, and item J is a request to authorize me as your treasurer to request tax advances from the county auditor's office as they are collected. So I'd like to recommend the board approve this report, as well as consider the approval of items 10.2 through 13.1.
I move that we approve items 10.2 through 13.1.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Dufresne?
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. Next item up, 13.2, the OSBA Legal Assistance Fund.
This $250 expenditure affords districts across the state an economy of scale to afford and participate in lobbying, legislation, and legal support for all school districts participating in this OSBA program.
I move that we approve the OSBA Legal Assistance Fund as presented.
Second.
Mr. Dufresne?
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain?
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. Next up, annual member dues for OSBA.
And this is a recommendation to approve the membership dues of the district for the Ohio School Boards Association for $7,543 for calendar year 2018.
I move that we approve the membership dues for the Ohio School Boards Association.
Second.
Mr. Dufresne?
Real comment, real quick.
Sure.
I abstained on the previous one and this one, not that I don't support them, I strongly support them. But I just wanted to explain, I'm an officer, and therefore, from an ethics standpoint, I have to abstain.
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain?
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. More than an officer, you are the incoming president of the OSBA. Next up, reports to the Board of Education, Business Advisory Committee.
Next Business Advisory Committee will be held on the 11th at the board office, 7 p.m., and we will get an agenda put out after the first of the year for them.
Policy Committee report.
We have tonight before you the vote on the policy on class rank 5430. This policy, I think, other than maybe intra-district transfer, we've probably vetted more than any other policy that I can recall. A committee was formed, the committee did their work, the committee consisted of, and you're gonna have to help me, parents, administrators, teachers, counselors, and there were some people that, it wasn't everyone who was like gung-ho with the idea. There were some people that had some issues that they needed to have worked out, as happened in the policy committee itself, which is basically Randy and me. We spent a lot of time understanding the policy and the reason for it, the need for it. The process, like I said, was thorough with administrators, counselors, parents, teachers. The committee reached consensus. The policy was vetted at 2 PTO meetings, a cabinet meeting, our policy committee meeting, curriculum committee meeting. There was a presentation at a board meeting, then at the Forest Hills Council meeting, and then there was a parent meeting at Nagel. And I think there were also, and I'm sorry that I didn't read this, but I believe that there were frequently asked questions and answers that were put out. There were parent letters sent out. Am I right about that? Yep. So I think we are at a good place to vote on the policy tonight, and I would move its approval.
A second? I'd also like to comment for discussion. When I first was presented with this idea, I have to admit I was opposed to it. Just top line before I got any of the information, and I just didn't see the need to make a change. But after seeing the presentation that was put together that was very thorough, there's more to this than just the simple part of a class rank. When I realized that some students were making decisions that were probably not in their best interest, in order to chase that number, that was probably not a good thing. And I'm not going to go through the whole presentation, but there were a number of areas that caused me to change my mind about it and realize that it probably is the right thing to do. Not just because everybody else is doing it, but it was right for Forest Hills. So again, I appreciate the homework that was done on this, and also hearing from students, but especially the parents of the students who were in the running for some of these accolades. And anyway, long story short, I was impressed with the work that you guys did and the various aspects that this impacts, and that caused me to change my mind about it.
So I've looked into this a lot and been involved in this on multiple levels over the course of over 30 years. There are inherent challenges with any grade point average, any class rank, any type of accolades at the end of the year. The current system takes, back when it was first implemented, there were 5 AP courses, maybe 7. There was no College Credit Plus. Things were fairly equal and fair. You could take all of the highest level classes. Everyone had the same opportunities, and the discrepancy was as is now in the changes is with the exploratory courses or the fine arts courses, and that's the worst part of this. And there isn't a cure for it, in that for people who are looking to achieve the highest grade point or their highest class rank or achieving excellence on those levels and getting accolades or reinforcement for that, by the very nature of a 5-point scale, where some classes are 5-point, that means there are some that are on a 4-point scale, and that is unavoidable through this system. So that, and I've had these discussions. I've talked to a lot of high school students in the past 6 weeks, and the question comes up: should I take band? I can only get a B. I can't get. It is going to lower my grade point average to take band, orchestra, arts. Now, one of the things that we've talked about is the advantage of getting, what is the idea of grade point average? Is to help to differentiate you between your peers and to get into a college that you want to go to for that level of student. And what I have found as I am just starting this for the second time around, or from a different perspective, is that the breadth of experience is at least as important as the GPA, and that having a 4 years or 6 years or 8 years or what have you of a fine arts is far more important than the very real loss of GPA that you will have with a 4.0 versus a 5.0. Now, that will take communication and teaching for people, and I'm coming from this from a very personal perspective on this, having been, knowing all of my GPAs and knowing how all those numbers work, and realizing that the colleges, that these reach colleges are truly looking for complete individuals. It isn't a score that they're looking for. I also do like the tiered approach, in that with two accolades per class, we are blessed with a wonderful teaching and wonderful students, and there's a lot of achievement there, and on multiple levels. To have that narrowed down to 2, especially in the new situation, and this is my chance to be on the soapbox, so I'm going to take it, is the College Credit Plus, I make no bones about it, it's a boondoggle from the state. We had no choice in it. We have, in fact, I would have loved to bring him back, and maybe if you get too much on the representatives, they never come back. But is, they preach local control, and then they tell you what you have to do. You have to offer College Credit Plus, whether you like it or not. And you have to take what they give you. We have no oversight in that. So if you are taking a course because it is an easy course and you can get an advanced grade on it, that's not, and if as a parent you don't like the content of that course or what they're learning, guess who you get to complain? Nobody. You can talk to your senator, okay? We don't have any control over that, yet we have to award grades and awards based on something that truly we can't have any say in. So this helps with that. It doesn't completely correct that, but it does take the current system that we have. You get a double dose of accolades or honors for a course that we can't control, and that frankly, in many cases, or in some cases, is not as rigorous as an AP course, as our own personal AP courses. And I've seen that in a lot of the colleges. The college courses that, the introductory but college courses are not our AP courses. There are AP courses use materials that are in upper level courses in college. So with that, it will come and go. I was joking. I said, 30 years from now, we may be sitting down and doing the exact opposite. I mean, it's how things go when things change. My concern has been with the juniors and seniors. I know this won't affect the seniors, but the juniors are a class that has been with this system for, I was saying 3 out of 4 years. Realistically, having these, it's been since 7th grade, because all of this factors in. And I think there are some things. I look at trying to promote excellence and accolades for the largest number of people who earned them. And these aren't participation trophies. These are people who have worked hard to achieve what they have. And I look at that as saying, well, we want to do that, and that's, I think we're talking about doing even this year, saying, well, there's no reason to deny accolades. This is truly honoring the work that they have done. Doing that just for the freshman class, I mean, there's no downside for promoting excellence. So that's where I see this as being a good thing. For the junior class, where they've had one system all along and then it changes, I think there are things that can be done to mitigate the effect of that, while still allowing us to work on or to honor the excellence of our students. I see this as an ongoing item that will be there. It engenders discussion over the course of generations. I mean, it's the nature of it. We're very competitive here, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's why we are where we are. But I do appreciate, I especially appreciate, to echo what was said. I mean, the amount of work that went into it, the discussions, the research. Things have changed a lot since most of us went to college, a lot. And that will continue to happen. And I'd like to think that we will continue to look and try to mold what we are doing here to allow for college and career readiness as we move forward. And that's all part of our strategic vision. So thank you for my 5 minutes.
I believe this is looking at the district's vision and purpose. I think that this new policy is definitely following our vision and purpose. I think each student achieves their personal success every day, and that personal success is different for everybody. For some people it is a certain GPA or being the top. For some people it's taking the classes that are most meaningful for them, that they need or want to do for their future. So I definitely think this is the right way for us to head down the right path. And I like what Forrest said about, complete individuals. That's what colleges are looking for, and I think that's what we're doing here at Forest Hills with this new policy, and I appreciate all of your hard work on it.
We have a motion?
I already moved.
We have a motion and a
Okay,
second.
Mr. Giuffre?
Mrs. Bissinger.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Fruman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner.
Yes.
Dr. Heiss.
Yes.
You know what, I just want to thank, if it's okay, I just want to thank you again for all your work. Every time the presentation was better, I'm kidding. No, it was always great, but I know it's hard to give presentations sometimes, and you had a lot of questions, and, you know, at least the PTA Council can be I don't know, a strenuous present. So, congratulations, thank you for great work.
The community may never realize all the work that went behind this, but thank you also.
Next up, Human Resources Committee report.
No meeting, nothing to report.
Finance Committee report.
Finance Committee actually did have a meeting, but it was a relatively brief meeting because unfortunately our treasurer was ill, and so we had some brief conversation, but like I said, it was a short meeting.
Curriculum and Student Services Committee report.
We have not had a meeting since our last regular board meeting.
Safety Committee.
Safety Committee has not met, and will meet sometime in the early part of next year.
Is there lay appointments to that?
The appointments?
The Safety Committee? I'm just saying. You have time.
Oh,
Get it?
I love that committee. I'm telling you, whoever does it,
There you go.
it's a
Okay.
great committee. I agree.
They're going to be
It's just-
fighting over it.
Yeah, it's a great committee, right, John? Okay.
Forest Hills Foundation report.
The foundation decided, because of the busy holiday season, not to have a full board meeting, but they will have an executive committee meeting this Wednesday.
All right. Legislative Liaison report.
There's actually a lot going on in the House and the Senate right now that has impact on education. One of them was a verification of community school enrollment. That passed, believe it or not, by 89-0. I think the most important thing, though, that's going on right now is the Senate Education Committee taking testimony on Senate Bill 216, which has a lot of impact. It's legislation would enact Ohio Public School Deregulation Act, dealing with administration of preschool and primary and secondary education programs. Anything you want to, I know you've been active with that legislation, anything you want to share?
It gives us an opportunity to have legislators understand the impact of the regulations and how they influence what we're doing at the local level. So I think it's a good, I think House Bill 216 is a good start for us in public education. Also, I'll talk with Rob again tomorrow and our folks internally about vouchers, community schools, and all of those types of expenses. Peterson Scholarship, I learned today of some figures that our district pays out to other entities who serve children. And what we'd like to do is try to ensure at the state level that they are providing enough finances to local school districts to offset some of those costs for kids who deserve to have quality education, who may seek other opportunities, and try to work on that funding formula for the state of Ohio.
216 has a lot of elements, and a lot of them can be very good for Forest Hills. So hopefully that'll continue on. I will keep you informed.
Thank you. There is no Forest Hills Teacher Association report tonight. Donna did wish us a Merry Christmas.
Oh, good.
Do we have another executive session?
Are we done in the executive session?
We don't need to go back in.
No?
I think we are.
The real estate?
Christmas
Aren't
too.
we? Mike, we're done. Executive sessions, we don't need.
All right. You have to tell me twice. Okay, so, item 15.2, acceptance of resignation of interim treasurer. Can I get a motion? Or would you like to present?
I was just looking. I move that we accept the resignation of our interim treasurer.
A second?
Second?
Mr. Giuffre?
Mr. Fruman.
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger.
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Heiss.
Yes.
Do you think people are like nervous that we just
So now we are no longer with a treasurer.
for
But
1 minute?
Item
30 seconds?
15.3 is our interim treasurer rehiring.
I move that we hire the interim treasurer on an interim basis pursuant to the terms of the agreement effective January 2nd, 2018.
Second?
And we just share that there's a process involved that's required, partly having to do with, was it STRS?
SERS.
Excuse me, SERS. And we're just fulfilling that, so it doesn't really change much.
No. Mr. Giuffre?
Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our next meeting is our budget hearing organizational meeting, always a good time, on January 3rd, 2018, at 7 a.m. at the board central office. All are welcome. At that time, we will set our meeting dates for 2018. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Giuffre?
Was the second from Mrs. Hubner? Thank you. Mr. Fruman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubner?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissinger?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Heiss?
Yes. Thank you all for coming. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.